Well, what can I say? I'm back to reflect on my day. Today is the 3rd of January. 3rd of January, 2022. There is now 362 days remaining. Yeah, 360 because it's 362 days remaining. I'm losing count because I don't know how to count backwards. Remaining in this year. Why is my headset? I think my headset's still on. I just finished playing the Beat Saber to do my exercise because I didn't go outside today. But I still wanted to clock in 30 minutes of exercise, which I did, and we're about to fill the blue ring, which means all of our rings, yet again, are completed, which is good. I didn't finish reading Rich Dad Poor Dad last night. Instead, I actually finished reading it only like 20 minutes ago, because I spent 20 minutes playing Beat Saber. So yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to say in terms of what I want to talk about. I just want to do a check-in, I guess. Touching back on finishing a book, I think. Yeah, I think I went through a lot of it was just coming back. A lot of it was it's hard to put into words. Why am I struggling? I think I am struggling. Maybe I'm struggling because I'm tired from playing Beat Saber. Something for me to review and edit, I guess. Anyways, so touching back on Robert's book, yeah, I think I'm just out of breath. Coming back to touching back on Robert's book, a lot of it was just rephrasing. I can't think. I just came back. A lot of the book was not rephrasing, rejogging my memory of what I thought about when I was reading through my books, and there were definitely a few key takeaways from what I understood, and what I took out of it, and new takeaways rather. Because today I spent a lot of time researching, like every day, like where am I going to find the next 10x investment in crypto, and with some revelations in terms of how small the market is, how much room there is to grow, and the book talking about risks and having an investor, an intelligent mindset of understanding fear and trying to evaluate intellectually undervalued markets that definitely have a lot of potential to boom and then pull out before they bust, but being intelligent enough in order to calculate the risks, calculate the probabilities, and being able to make an intelligent decision to make it a win instead of gambling. And I think that's the sort of clear distinction. And by the end of reading the book finish, I definitely wholeheartedly agree with myself that I think, without even realizing, that 90% of what I did, 90 to 90% of what I do on a regular basis actually falls along the lines of that book. It's kind of astounding. I kind of thought about, did I start doing it after I read the book? Or did I just, because I kind of feel like I just started doing it, and I can't remember when I started. I felt like it was just part of my character. It wasn't something like, oh my God, I'm inspired to be exactly what this book is telling me to be. It was more of hang on a second, everything that I do is literally written in this book, and it's just it was really eye-opening. Not to sort of like, you know, um, be snobby or anything like that, but it was kind of like a point of reflection where I was kind of like, hang on a second, am I original or am I just copying somebody else's method? Ah, but there are, things that I definitely like interpret in my own ways, and I think that's what makes me believe strongly that it wasn't the book. It's just coincidence that the book itself, maybe the book has influenced who I am as a person in terms of my character, the way that I think, how I perceive myself. Because there are statements in the book that differentiate between being rich and being intellectual. I kind of took personal offense, and and I was just biased. I knew I was biased, and I immediately like realized, and I took away my emotional thinking, used my logical thinking to try and understand. Not really try, but I fully understood, and that was like in the book there were statements saying that rich people are more intellectual than intellectual people, and I have it the other way around. It's well, I actually don't have the other way around. It's more of the rich people are the intellectual people. They're one and the same, and I think it just really comes down to communication. Robert just used those particular words, and I tend to just have the same category, the same definitions for the same amount of people. I don't think there's any higher level of measurement to intellect rather than intellect. You can't say like I'm not the type of person that will say rich people are more intellectual than intellectual people. I would say intellectual people are the most intellectual people possible, therefore they are rich. Um, but maybe he was trying to extrapolate in terms of mindset and perspective. Maybe that was the reason. But anyways, that there are certain things that I picked up on, and that again I don't full hardly agree, and that sort of makes me believe that definitely it could have potentially influenced who I was or who I am, but definitely I don't. I feel confident rather that I am myself. I'm not somebody who's just trying to copycat that, be a copycat to that book. But there are a few things again in terms of like how it sort of helped me with today, and that is like it helped me realize where I am in terms of the financial world and how early in terms of adoption crypto is. And I think it helped me realize that, hey, like literally there are so many projects that I'm aware of that I could literally invest in, and there's a good chance that those projects would like literally 10, 20, 30x. And it sort of helped me pull myself back and have a greater vision. It was kind of like a light bulb moment that I was like, this perspective is actually very useful. So it sort of made me really, really really interested in my investments. And like, I think my investments that I'm going to be locking in this year is definitely Mana from Decentraland. I think there is a huge growth for the metaverse, and somebody like me who doesn't have a lot of understanding of the metaverse, I'm very much naive, but I strongly believe that in terms of the institutional money where it's headed, I believe that metaverse and the blockchains and the technologies that will support the metaverse are definitely going to be the ones that are going to suck in that money, or where the money is going to be targeted, and that in return, should I place my bets on those projects, I will see significant growth. And I think that's sort of what I've become. It's like a sudden realization, like, hey, like there's a reason why there are snippets and small pieces of news. And I think I was having this thought about yesterday because I feel like I was personally attacked. But then again, I knew that I was just being emotional because I was watching Asmongold have his take on Square Enix's NFT conundrum. And to be fair, I think it was, when I processed it logically, it was more of like two sides of an argument. One is presenting his perspective and being a speaker of the overall perspective in terms of the gamer space, because Square Enix is a gamer, a game developer thing. But I think the argument for the developer, when they released the article, I think it was more of seeing the game development area more innovative and more of a changing company. Essentially, they want to be something more, but they also want to elevate gaming at the exact same time. And I think the audience that they wrote it to, I think in terms of feedback, I reckon they definitely didn't articulate it very well, because coming from somebody who loves video games, and video games has been like their passion and part of their life, like the entirety of my life. I think I see both. Like I see the NFTs and the metaverse and everything in it. I think there's like I believe in it. I absolutely believe in it. And I think this person definitely believes in it too. And we probably see the same light, or perhaps maybe two different shades of the same light or the same color. It may not be the exact perspective, but we see similar. And I think what this person was trying to sell the story, essentially, that how it's positive in the way he phrased it, I think he or she phrased it, I think he was very eager to show and share the world this great positive thing, and I think that really makes me believe that his intentions are good, except that I think he didn't realize and respect fully, or maybe was not aware of the audience and their history behind greediness and how they perceive the current technologies that you know that trying to innovate the world. And I think it's part of like this teething. I think if you look at cryptocurrencies as a whole, I think cryptocurrencies as like as a technology, it's going through this teething process whereby a lot of technologies are under scrutiny when they first come out. Like for example, if you think about it, a common argument that a lot of people make is like iPhones. When iPhones first came out, everybody, if you remember, or you're mature enough, because I couldn't afford an iPhone back then, but if you remember and you're mature enough to recall, when the iPhones came out, everybody questioned like, why do you have this thing? It's going to be absolutely useless. It's not going to, like, people, like, no, not just normal people, no, not just abnormal people, but modern day average people, and I mean everybody, like retaliated the adoption of iPhones. And that's just what happens. Like when a technology is so unique, so new, so different, almost everybody is going to question it and refuse it, right? They fight. It's so common. Like it's one of those sayings where like when you're trying to do something that's so crazy, people are going to fight you. People are going to be a challenge, to be an obstacle in front of you. But eventually, if the technology is good enough, people will start to see, people will start to understand, and then one by one, the understanding of that technology will change. And I think in terms of like the overall, I've just derailed. This was supposed to be like a quick hi, how you doing? You know what I did today. It just went on this like philosophical train of like how technology is seen today and whatever. But I want to finish it. So in crypto and metaverse and NFTs, especially in the gamer space, I think people associate NFTs, and the current trends with NFT doesn't help as well, because people are buying into these useless NFTs that don't really have any function or form. Some of them have functions. There's definitely theory of functions, but actual functions themselves, like they're just collections. You could argue that collections are functions, or getting access to a club is a function. It's a very light function, but it's not something that you would pay $400,000 USD for to get access to a club. Like, what does that club provide? Does that club provide me, I don't know, like millions of dollars? No, it doesn't. So why does it cost $400,000 just to get into this club? Where's the function in it? That is what I'm saying. Like, where is the use case, the actual value in the use case, and where is demand? Because if there's use case, there's usually demand. And right now there's just a whole lot of demand, but not a lot of sensible use cases, I think is the best way that I can phrase it. And coming back to that concept mixed with the gamer audience, whereby they've been scrutinized by major companies major game developers who do ludicrous things to make profit from things such as loot boxes and microtransactions and services that essentially defeats the purpose of cultivating a large positive community that engages by putting hundreds and thousands of hours into the game and demoralizes or deteriorates the player base's efforts or the player base's contributions in inwards of time and effort by creating these services that essentially defeat the purpose of playing the game. Coming from a history and understanding of how these gamers view these, or their perspective on this particular concept, and when they see, you know, this idea, even though it's quite positive and it's not really pronounced how exactly and what way they're going to do it, there's no promises made in what shape or form it's going to take place, you can see why that, you know, they were very, very eager to jump the gun and start firing every single gun that they have at the developers. And just like an Asmongold's 50-minute rant on why and his perspective and reasons, solid, perfectly reasonable, solid, again, reasonable arguments to it. I think it was just a miscommunication, or not miscommunication, but just potentially one person was giving his side, drawing from his experience and being a representative of his community, versus a developer who has great ideas, brilliant innovation, plans in his mind that didn't really sort of explain it too well, didn't really make any promise or outline or provide structure or anything in depth at all in terms of how it's going to unfold, but rather just conceptualize the concept of, hey, you know, this is a good idea, you know, like, definitely we're opening to interest of adopting these things in the coming year, and I think it's going to be great. It was just interesting, and I took part of what he says, I took definitely personal attack to, because it was part of my character. But then, you know, I realized that, hey, is it ego? Is he's attacking here? Is it my own ego? Or is it, you know, I used that as a point of reflection. It was rather really interesting. I just wanted to touch base on that a little bit. How did I get here? I was talking about Man in Decentraland. Oh yeah, teething. Yeah, and I think it gave me a broader perspective in terms of how early this technology is. And that is like, you know, it took how long, like 5-6 generations of iPhones to become the major conglomerate in terms of technology and adoption that it is now, which is like 5 to 6 years, right? And that's when the phone, 5 to 6 years, so that's when the phone came out. No, not even 5 to 6 years, like we're at like what, iPhone 10, 14 now, right? iPhone 14. And iPhones came out, and it didn't really sort of shake and take off till like iPhone 7. So like we still got like 7 years ahead before like major adoptions, it becomes like normal. So if you look at it that way, I think like, you know, because I was in the perspective like, okay, well, I need to find the next best investments. And I was really struggling. I was looking at the top 10, top 100 cryptos. And, you know, like, and they're all like, you know, up to the market cap. And I realized, you know, if you really view it as a different perspective, as like a technology, as like a business, or something as a technology that's potentially going to change the future, look at it from that perspective, it really gives you like a broader view of like, oh my god, we are very tiny. Everything's small. So it gives me a lot of confidence in terms of where I think these projects will go. And I'm definitely more keen to a bit more research before I am fully invested, but at the moment I've still got time to consider and fully make that sound investment. But yeah, pretty much in terms of everything, today's a public holiday. Today's my dad's birthday. I gave him a call, and I've still got to book in my ELS test somewhere in Sydney whenever that happens. In terms of plans, I'll go back to work tomorrow. No other plans really. Continue to do what I can, continue to research. I'm writing down a lot of notes just to help me memorize what I'm learning. And I think going back from that book that I finished today, definitely it was, you know, really, really good to hear that knowledge, you know, it's really good to be acknowledged that somebody like him acknowledges that knowledge is definitely power. Like knowledge is something that gives you freedom. As a bird, freedom in a lot of things in terms of, you know, what that book was trying to teach. And I think from what I've done since last year, February last year to now, definitely was a lot just building on that knowledge and just getting the discipline of just continue to absorb as much knowledge. I'm every single day, like Warren Buffett, just reading, trying to understand the markets, trying to absorb more knowledge, trying to get more information, trying to view certain data points at different angles. Like I was talking about how, one argument versus the other argument, and then using that overall as a framework to view the current climate of this technology as a different perspective. Like it all plays into like what I'm trying to achieve. And again, to get that acknowledgement of what I've been doing is me being on the correct path to being, rich. I think it definitely, yeah, it's nice, it's heartwarming, because I don't have, a coach or a friend that says, Ian, you're on the right path, keep going, you'll make it. I just have people say that, yeah, I believe, and they don't even say they believe, they just nod. They don't even smile, they just keep nodding and listening to what I'm saying, as if like, and they don't even inject their opinion, they just keep nodding. And for me, it's kind of like that's like, if you don't know what side to take, if you don't know, to know what side to take, then inject what your views are. Like, don't have to take a side, but inject what your comments are. So then we can have something that's constructive, and then that can give me a framework of maybe I need to alter the way that my path, or maybe I do need to review myself and the way that I approach something. I think like, I just wish I had a form of discussion where I get to reflect and review and be criticized of what I do. I don't have somebody who rubs against me and says, no, I believe strongly, that this is a better way, or this is the way. I have only myself, and I struggle to like, I'm somebody who's always looking to better myself, and I feel like when I have somebody who's shoving or telling me otherwise, or giving me other perspectives, I can measure up to that and sort of find my own way. But when I don't have anything, I think it's like you're in the middle of the ocean, you don't know where to swim. Like, which direction is the right way? If I have like, I don't want to be lost, I don't want to go in circles. But if I have like the stars, at least I can use the stars to say, well, I've been swimming this way, I know that if I keep swimming this way, at least I'm not going backwards. I don't have that point of reference, is I guess what I'm trying to say. And I wish I did. I wish I had some more creative minds, some more intellectual minds that had, right now I just have all the information, all the people that I follow, all the comments, all the opinions. And I'm really grateful for what they do. But I wish I had some people that I can, go to and be like, hey, what do you think about this idea? And they would just spill their beans in terms of what they think, and I'll be like, hey, I think about this too, and we could help each other sort of get to common grounds and at least share what we disagree on. I don't like I'm so, at the moment, I'm so used to just spreading my ideas and people just nodding and not injecting their opinion. They're just nodding. I wish they would not say yes, but I wish they would say no. I want them to say no. I want them to say, hey, I think this is better. I want them to say, hey, I think this is worse. I want to say, hey, your opinion is wrong. I want to know why. I guess it's just, I don't know. I think it's just me. I just don't like being, I don't know. It's hard to describe. I want to say I don't like being right all the time. I feel like I'm right all the time, but I wish I was just wrong. It's just not fun being right all the time. There's nothing to learn if I'm always right. And it's a dangerous world if I live in if I'm always right. But I feel like a lot of what I say is majority, like majorly right. And it's sad. It's sad. Yeah. But anyways, that's me. I guess I've ranted for long enough. Yeah. Back to work tomorrow. We'll continue to do what we do. We'll fill in, we'll touch base, see how we're progressing in terms of our goals. Obviously, financially, we haven't really made any impact. Oh yeah, I want to try and change my cash flow, because from the book it mentions like, you like, it gives you an idea or a concept of paying yourself first before you pay everybody else. And right now, I kind of pay everybody else before I pay myself. even though I'm net positive and I end up, I am in a comfortable position where I put what I consider is a good amount of money into investments, into assets that grow me money. I reckon perhaps maybe, and I kind of feel like it's a little bit risky, but what if I change my discipline in terms of what if I increase the amount of money I throw into my investments? That would decrease the amount of money I would go to paying my bills, which means I would be in an uncomfortable situation to force myself to come up with better ideas, new innovative, using my brain skills to really come up with better methods and processes of challenging, how much I can live with in terms of paying my bills um, and lowering my expenses. Maybe that I was thinking, I will adopt that. And yeah, like for example, I pay $300 after I paid all my bills to my investments because I only make an income of 50,000 per annum, right? And every fortnight I have about $300 left over. So I put that straight after paying my bills and paying my rent. I put that straight into investments. But instead, this time around, I'm going to pay my investments first. And instead of $300, I'm going to dig in and put in $500. And then I'm going to force myself, because obviously that strains my financial position because I actually don't have enough to pay off my rent and my bills and my expenses. That forces me to be in an uncomfortable position that I have to innovate a solution financially. How am I going to solve this problem? And I think it would be a really good test for me to really strive and actually, how do I say it? Push myself to test how financially intellectual I am in terms of being able to provide a solution, and even maybe even make up even if I do this, I might be able to come up with an innovative idea that I can even, instead of putting 500, I could even put 600, 700, even $800 into investment every fortnight. So it's definitely something that I thought of. Like, it really sort of made me think when I read that book again, and I will actually do to try and push myself that further, because obviously we're talking about changing $5,000 USD into $200,000 by the end of this year. And I think doing that will be the next challenge. I think I want to take that challenge and really push myself as hard as I can. So we'll leave that with that, and see what I come up with the next couple of days. But it's because the next couple of days I get paid on Wednesday, which is literally in 2 days. So we'll see what happens. I'll see you later.